Is Skort here?
You know what? He just left.
Resident Evil 3 Remake. For some, an amazing experience, but to others it lacked something, maybe due to the game's short length, maybe due to the more action-focused nature rather than being focused on exploration, maybe because they put Jill in a damn Skort. Either way, that's not the game we're reviewing today. With this month being the release of Resident Evil 3 Remake and the reception of that title being
Bitch can't even swim.
okay, I came away with the perspective that some people weren't too keen on the streamlining that happened between the two remakes, and how the third was more action focused, filled with Michael Bay explosions, sick one-liners, and a camera that had an odd relationship with Jill's butt. Fun for some, but others seem to have preferred the slower, more exploration and puzzle focused RE2 remake. For those people, I have a nice little treat for you here. Sure, it isn't exactly like Resident Evil, but it does take some inspiration from it, as well as other titles like Portal, Mirror's Edge, Tomb Raider, and even Dark Souls! Sorry. Anyway, enough of this title screen. Today, let's take a look at a little indie title known as Haydee, made by Haydee Interactive. Okay, I can explain. Despite what you're seeing on the screen right now, this isn't one of my Arrowgate reviews. See? Blue border. We safe work in these streets today. This is our main protagonist, Haydee, a humanoid robot cyborg advanced sex toy. The game isn't really clear on it because story, what's that? Some kind of modern day whatchamacallit? Well, sorry. This game was made in 2016. Huh. Whatever, who needs story when you have all this plot? And by plot, I mean solid puzzle platforming. This title just plops Haydee into the game, just her, a bunch of homicidal robots, and an unsettling amount of clone corpses littering the facility. Haydee herself is quite the design, but I can already hear the question begging to be released from your lips.
So, if you wanted to screw her, mechanically speaking, you could, and she'd enjoy it.
That wasn't my real question.
Oh, okay.
Why would the developers make such a thick, creamy, voluptuous,
Okay, he goes on like this for a while, but I promise you the rest of the review takes us a bit more seriously.
well-upholstered design? Well, the answer is pretty underwhelming, to be honest. In an interview with the devs, they basically said her design was made to attract players inside an indie market that is oversaturated and pretty hard to get noticed. The brutal honesty in that sort of reply kinda hurts, but hey, it got me to buy it, and if you can look beyond Hades' thighs, you will find a very challenging game. So for the handful of people who don't like big butts in their games, no idea how you got here, but I still think there's something here for you, and for the pervs out there who want to know what kind of other salacious content is in Haydee, that's kinda it. Although if you're really hankering for some fan service, there is a censorship toggle in the menu that when turned off reveals that the keycards and ammo packs in the game initially all had naked ladies on them. It's the little things. But enough about Hades' glutes. What about the rest of the game? Well, visually speaking, it's nothing special. Honestly, it kinda reminds me more of a tech demo than a game, with very simple textures and repeated use of limited resources. But it kinda fits the location, this sort of industrial facility with cold, unfeeling walls and pipes weaving around similar to the roots of a tree. Like if someone told me this game was composed with some basic store-bought assets, I wouldn't be all that surprised. But this is yet another game that shows it's not just about the assets you have, it's also about how you use them. This game does a good job at providing this sort of unsettling, labyrinth-like facility, showing that all you need to disturb a player is an empty corridor and a heap of dead bodies. And sealing the deal is the music, or more accurately, the ambient noise, because this game doesn't have sick beats and epic music you can jam out to in your car. No, instead each zone you explore has its own sort of electronic theme playing in the background, allowing you to clearly hear the creeping footsteps of enemies approaching from outside your view. The other sound work though, they're alright, but I do wish the guns felt a bit more powerful, and for God's sake there does seem to be a bug with the walking, in that sometimes it doesn't line up with Hadee's animations, which can cause a bit of paranoia that an enemy might be right behind you ready to clap them cheeks. Okay, before we begin, does anyone want to get off? God fucking damn it! Fuck! Now I know we already did this, but let's talk about Haydee again. The person, not the game. Sure, without a big thick story to go along with that Choco Love body, she might come across as a soulless, robotic Tenga toy with legs. But as I played Haydee, I realized she is very much reminiscent of an old school protagonist who, rather than with words or dialogue, conveys her personality through actions. As you play, Haydee has to sprint through countless corridors, shimmy across bottomless cliffs, pull herself onto ledges, accurately gun down assailants, pull herself onto ledges, crawl through small passageways, pull herself onto ledges, crawl through small passageways. The whole silent protagonist shtick kinda reminds me of Samus Aran back in the day. Doing all those things, climbing ledges, crawling through vents, are done in service of one goal, getting to an area you haven't been to in hopes that it has something to help you journey throughout the facility. Maybe a keycard to unlock a new area, a gun to defend yourself from hostile robots, maybe even ammo for the gun used to defend yourself from hostile robots. Because this game is far too evil to provide you self-defense that early in the game. Ran into that realization like a brick wall. I think before we get too far into this gameplay, it's important to say that this game is primarily a 3D puzzle platformer. It's got some combat in it to say an itchy trigger finger, but the weapons you have at your disposal are relatively limited. You pretty much get a pistol, an SMG, and a stronger pistol. Like I said, game feels like a tech demo, and come on. No shotgun? Really? But puzzles are what the bulk of this game comes down to, entering a new room and figuring out how to get all the goodies inside and, how to leave. At times there will be some enemies blocking your path, but they are just another type of puzzle this game provides you, with your health bar and resources being the pieces. This is what really sold the Resident Evil comparisons to me. You have limited item slots to store not only the scarce amount of ammo you get, but also the tools you might need to progress in other ways. Every enemy encounter is a question of how important it is to conserve what ammo you have versus how quickly you need the threat gone. While early on the game throws mostly slow walking robots at you, later in the game it starts throwing quick-footed slasher bots at you, requiring a much faster response time. This game does reward gamers who have honed their COD skills though, saving ammo with high damaging headshots, but there is another way to deal with them.
Wait a minute!
One of my favorite elements of watching people play the early Resident Evil games is the fact that not every enemy is needed to be killed to proceed. With proper memorization, Haydee can weave around the slow enemies and sometimes even the fast ones to save her ammo for more important fights. And you will most likely memorize at least some of the areas, because this game also takes a very important game-defining feature to anyone who's played classic Resident Evil: ink ribbons. No. Yes, this game does contain a limited save system in the form of floppy disk, and this is a real stress inducer, and how this game can take enemies that look like this and make them scary, because depending on how liberally you burn through your saves, you can find yourself low on health and suddenly unable to save despite having gone through potentially hours of gameplay. And remember, this is a puzzle platformer. Sometimes you can be your own worst enemy, having to make countless semi-precise jumps, and all it takes is one bad leap of faith and... But is this game really that difficult? Kinda. I've seen some people unironically call this game the Dark Souls of puzzle platformers, and while I kinda get where they're coming from, at the same time, I beat the game. It might have taken me 30 plus hours to do it, and for context's sake, there is an achievement for speedrunners to beat this game in under an hour, but I beat it, and real talk, this game was like my kryptonite. Not only are puzzle games my natural enemy, but I have incredibly poor internal mapping capability. I could get lost walking in a straight line. If you are anything like me, this game will have you begging for a map by the halfway point, and those prayers will not be answered. So yeah, it's pretty hard, up there for one of the most difficult experiences I've played through, but it's far from impossible, on softcore difficulty anyway. I really, and I mean really, wanted to play hardcore for this review for the memes at the very least, but higher damage, reduced ammo finds, too rich for my blood. This game is broken up into a handful of different zones, interconnected to each other by the bridge. You start out in the white zone, which is a tutorial of sorts, and pro tip, when you get the white key, instead of taking the bait and using it immediately, head back to the first area. As you play, the different zones will start to have a theme that you'll have to play around, like the green zone requiring you find a way around its poison gas, or the black zone. Fuck the black zone. This game was already creeping me the hell out, but then the devs decided to throw an entire zone of pitch black darkness, and no, the obligatory night vision goggles do not help ease the tension. Heck, it might actually make it worse. Getting through that zone was a nightmare, until I realized that the anxiety the game creates is mostly due to its atmosphere and the sounds. Realizing that, I did what any respectful gamer would do. I'm joking, I didn't actually play the entire Black Zone with the Giorno theme in the background. It was actually fellow content creator Friedrich Habetler's Joestar Fan Theme. I should point out though that not listening to the in-game sound cues will incur a 20% puzzle solving debuff and increased chance for ambushes. On the note of ambushes, one of the things that really did get under my skin was how while most of the game is pretty transparent with its enemy deployments, you can scout out and clear a room only to leave and come back not 2 seconds later and...
Wreck your shins!
Oh, and before I forget, this game has a water temple.
Out of this house! Out of this house!
Swimming with Haydee isn't terrible, but it is indeed slow. Then again, while Haydee's pretty agile on her feet and with a gun, whenever she's in quote-unquote puzzle mode, you know, shimmying across ledges, she becomes painfully slow. Fan service or no, at those speeds you just want to slap her on the ass to hurry the heck up, because so much of this game is just her shimmying from one corner to another. Also, she takes fall damage incredibly easy, but I guess that's what happens when you're dummy thick and trying to do low-level parkour in high heels. Back on the Black Zone though. It's also home to probably the most egregious issue I have with the game. You can actually lock yourself out of some of the endings just by making a single misstep that for all intents and purposes looks and feels like a reasonable action in a puzzle game with multiple ways to achieve a goal. Without spoiling anything, in the Black Zone there is an elevator, and it is 100% possible to lock the elevator on a floor you cannot reach, removing all access to that elevator for the remainder of the playthrough. And it feels like a reasonable choice to make. When I was playing through the game, I simply reasoned that this was the game's way of telling me that the black zone was complete and that I no longer needed to explore it, since there isn't any sort of in-game map to indicate whether or not a zone has been fully explored. Bricking some of the endings got me so mad that I immediately went onto the Steam Workshop to find a mod that could reset the elevator, and holy shit, there's a lot of porn. Yeah, in my rush to find a fix to my predicament, there is none by the way, you need to be very careful with where you leave that elevator, I kinda stumbled onto an aspect of the game that I had completely forgotten about. The modding community for this game are a bunch of perverts. Like, they took one look at Haydee's model and thought,
it's free real estate.
The workshop for this game is absolutely filled to the brim with model swaps for Haydee, plenty of them not safe for work or containing NSFW elements due to most having the ability to customize the model in some way. Some of them are pretty good while others are a bit more, suited to unique taste. I do really like how creative some mods got with Haydee's on-character health bar though, so credit where credit is due. Model swaps aren't the only types of mod that this game has going for it though. Now we're Resident Evil. Actually, there's a neat little alternate game mode emulating Resident Evil 1 and 2 because Haydee does come with a game editor. My personal favorite mod though has to be this main menu replacer, turning the rather bland title screen into a much more dynamic and at times sexy panorama. Is it representative of the game? Not really, but it looks cool and even works with whatever Haydee model swaps you have on at the time. But this video is starting to turn into a mod review, so let's wrap it up with my final thoughts. Puzzle games are not my forte, and horror titles, fuck you Black Zone, are even less so. Despite that, I not only persisted in playing Haydee, but at times even looked forward to it. I can't count how many times I hit a wall in my playthrough only to go into work the next day thinking it over, considering what paths or routes I could use to get around the issue when I got home. That's not the kind of thing that normally happens in a genre you don't enjoy. Is it a great game? Not exactly. Once again, it reminds me of a tech demo and how few resources show up in the game, but what it does do with those resources is pretty damn enjoyable. I do wish there was a little more in terms of things to find, which is why I got so hyped to see a mod add in a shotgun weapon, but on the flip side, I do not think the game was too short, most likely due to how many times I got stuck on certain puzzles and how many times I got lost trying to find the missing tool I needed to solve said puzzle. Backtracking adds on quite the bit of playtime the first time around, and when you backtrack, it's not nearly as annoying as you might think because swiftly zooming past hostile enemies does make you feel like quite the badass, and the eventual aha moment when the puzzle finally clicks is just electric and makes that eventual save you were holding off on doing feel all the more satisfying. And on a somewhat unrelated note, this game is getting a sequel. Yes, Haydee 2 is in the works. I don't know if it's going to be called that, but it is in the works. So hopefully some of that tech demo feel the game has going for it does get worked on. And hell, if they decide to keep putting naked ladies on all the items, maybe this time around you can inspect the items RE Remake style, just saying. But back onto the main game, with all that said, I'd give Haydee by Haydee Interactive with the price of $14.99 a solid buy, and that becomes a steal for anyone craving that old RE style exploration after the third remake. If I had to give it a score, it would probably be around a 6.5, could have been a 7, but missing out on 2 of the 3 endings just because of that stupid elevator really got me mad. Regardless, it's a fun game that should not be passed up on just because of the hip size of the main protagonist. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, maybe support these reviews by joining my Patreon or Subscribestar, and you know what? While I did say that I wasn't a big fan of puzzle and horror titles, after playing this game, I think I might give those remakes a chance. So my hat's off to Haydee, and I'll see you guys next time.